Denver,
Yeah.
but they're not going to draft a QB. So we'll see. Today's the day. Malik Cunningham's going to come in for relief of Macaroni Jones.
And
Tear up.
throw three picks. I'm getting a little bit of a echo. Do you have me on twice?
No.
Maybe I do.
How about now?
It's good now. Nope, nope. Echo's back.
How about now?
Um, yeah, it's still there. Do you hear it? I hear it on my end.
I need to look my right now. And this is the only thing I got up. Yeah.
Maybe it's me.
My stuff.
Hmm.
Well, I'll jump back on. Hold on.
Well,
Is that better?
we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's still there, but I don't. I mean, I don't know.
That's weird. Yeah, I don't hear anything. Your volume's fine on my end.
All right. The link's up, or the stream's up. I mean.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm gonna mute this real quick. See what it sounds like online. I'm gonna mute this real quick. See what it sounds like online.
Okay.
All right. Sounds all right online. Are you ready to get cooking?
Yeah, I think so. Trying not to pull it up, but for some reason my computer's acting up now.
The light is on.
Now I hear an echo. All right, give me 2 minutes. Hold on.
I think I lost Jeff.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No echo?
No echo.
Yay. Are we live?
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, we are. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So boom. So welcome week 6. We already got a matchup overseas kicking off in London. You got anybody going in that game?
No, I mean, a few leagues I have Mark Andrews in, but um, no, for the most part, I don't really have much going on in that league. I wasn't too worried. I didn't frantically wake up at 9 o'clock looking at my rosters. So,
Yeah, I kind of forgot that game was going on, so I got Hopkins going, and it's not looking great, but we'll see. We will see. You still there?
You were saying DeAndre Hopkins, huh? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I kind of forgot that game was in London, and so guess I'm rolling with him now. But I was gonna be between him and KJ Osborne, but I don't like the weather reports out of Chicago anyway. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what's Hopkins done so far? I haven't
Uh,
seen yet.
it's halftime. He's got one catch for 20 yards on two targets.
That's the Hopkins I know and love.
Yeah, that's all right. He was quiet in the first half last game too. So we'll see. I'll kick us off. I do got some questions coming through Twitter, or X, however whatever you want to call it. Garrett Wilson or James Cook at the flex?
Garrett Wilson or James Cook? Ooh, that's a tough one. I I probably go Garrett Wilson on that one. That Buffalo running game is just so unpredictable and so unreliable. At least with Wilson, he's still the number one. Zach Wilson's still looking to mainly get it to him and him alone for the most part. So I mean, just on a puncher's chance, like boxing term wise, a puncher's chance with Garrett Wilson. With Cook, I don't really. There's just too much going on there. That offensive line's not that good. Stephon Diggs will get mad if they start running the ball and not giving him the ball. So I go Garrett Wilson on that one.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. So I was leaning Garrett Wilson too. Just because Philadelphia's secondary is so beat up, and they're gonna be. I think they might be without Neal too today on the line. But then I realized that the Bills are playing the Giants, who are terrible against the run. This could be a game that gets out of hand quick, and then Buffalo does just lean on the run to kind of just kill the clock. So this one's a little tough. Last when he's played bad defenses, he's done pretty well. James Cook, he's got at least 100 yards or scored in 3 to the 5 games this year. So
Yeah.
usually at the flex, like I tend to go, hey, let me get the guaranteed touches. At the flex. And so James Cooks is going to get the guaranteed touches. He's got Harris. I guess how I would look at it is James Cook has the higher floor and Garrett Wilson has the higher ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad way to look at it. If you definitely need at least just a few points, I guess Cook's not the baddest play. Honestly, I thought for some reason Buffalo was playing someone else. They're playing the Giants this week. Yeah, James Cook's probably. I don't know. It's tough because Latavius Murray's come on strong. Damian Harris is still there, even though they don't know how to use him. And then you got Josh Allen on top of it, who's their one of their top rushers too. So I mean, it's tough. Because who's Zach Wilson going to throw to if it's not going to go to Garrett Wilson? That's the main thing. Like they're not going to Lazard, they're not going to Cobb. They got rid of Moore. It's such a tough, and they're not running the ball against Philly. That's for sure. Like if there's any weakness in Philly's defense, which there's not many, it's the secondary. So yeah, I still go with Garrett Wilson on that one. But it's either way, it's a coin flip. So we can go back and forth because you got Twitter pulled up and I've got the questions that our guys threw out. Let's see. So we've got Jacoby Myers, Tank Dell, or T. Higgins. Who you got this week on that one?
Myers.
That was.
Yeah, well, Tank Dell, he's is he cleared?
He's. It's not official yet. No.
Oh, it is official. Yeah, he's done. He's Tank Dell's not playing today, according to Adam Schefter. Yep. So don't go Tank Dell. I also think that downgrades Nico Collins because now Lattimore's got nobody else to worry about.
Yeah, I don't start either one of them. Even if Dell was healthy, I wasn't going to start him against New Orleans. But
Yeah, and Jacoby Myers, man, like he's been balling um for Oakland because he's the perfect type of receiver for Jimmy G, who doesn't have an arm. So I like Myers. Higgins, he's coming off an injury. So let's see, it's a rib injury. He is expected to play. Um, Going against Seattle. Ooh,
yeah, that's a tough one too.
shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I mean Higgins link. I mean now that Burrow's healthy, like you said last week, I mean that's a tough one to go against too. So,
Damn.
but Myers, I'll go with you on the Myers play. Not only is he playing well, but we talked about this too, is that they take away their best weapon, which is Adams. And we talked about this on Wednesday. I think Myers, it's a revenge game for him. So I think if anything, McDaniels is going to force it to Myers just to show them what they're missing out on. So yeah, I go Myers on that one. I think that's the right play. It's the right start.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Is I think Myers will get all those extra targets because they're gonna look to shut down. They're not gonna let Devontae Adams beat him. They're gonna
No,
try not to let Josh Jacobs beat him. Myers should be furious. At the
I'm
Patriots.
curious for him.
Yeah, yeah. So
The same damn contract that Juju Smith, the same contract, literally, the same contract that Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we need a new GM. Same coach, new GM for sure. But anyway, okay, yeah. What else? What else is Twitter throwing at you? You got any more?
Yeah, so I gotta let me see what you think on this one. This one came to me before the show. McLaurin versus ATL, Cooper versus San Francisco, or Reynolds versus Tampa Bay.
Jesus,
Yeah, that's a rough one.
is waiver wire an option?
That's what I said.
Reynolds, Reynolds, Cooper, and
McLaurin.
McLaurin. I definitely don't like McLaurin because Terrell's out there, and I think that's still the no. I think Dotson has the better day out there. Ooh, that's a tough one, man. I'm gonna have to go Reynolds.
Yeah.
Just out of default, St. Brown's coming back this week. I am a huge believer in St. Brown this week. I think he's going to bounce back huge against Tampa. I don't think they can stop him. But I have noticed that Goff likes to spread it around a little bit. So as good as St. Brown is, they don't toss it to him. They're not as reliant on him in the passing game. And Reynolds filled in nicely while he was out. So I would probably start Reynolds. That to me is more of a Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison play. Like Reynolds would be the Addison, which still isn't bad. I think they're going to make sure they go to St. Brown. Reynolds will still get some, maybe even a touchdown out of it. So yeah, I would go Reynolds on that one.
Yeah, that's what I was leaning to. I said, my initial response was definitely not Cooper with Watson out. And then I said the same
And
thing,
in San Francisco.
Yeah, going against San Fran, and then McLaurin. I said, he's going to have a tough draw in ATL, and I'd go Reynolds. Not super confident in him, but of the three, he has the best matchup, and we're still waiting word to see if Laporta's in or out this week. So if Laporta's out, that's going to open up some extra targets for Reynolds, even with St. Brown coming back. So I was leaning.
Well, Laporta's trending in the right direction. He more than likely he said he's playing, and they're saying it looks like he should play. So I wouldn't bank on him being out, but they might limit him a little bit too. So that could affect it a little bit.
Yep.
All right. So start Reynolds on that one. The next one we got in from the fans. This one was interesting. Kind of too late to throw it out there. It was Devontae Smith against the Jets. No Sauce. I guess your top three corners aren't playing this week, if I'm not mistaken, but I definitely know Sauce is out. And then Zay versus Zay Flowers, who's already playing. So I guess you're locked in with him if you already went that route, which I would have gone that route anyway. Or Nico Collins, if you had to start one, which one would you start?
Oh man. So Devontae, Zay, or Nico Collins?
Yeah.
Devontae.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna make believe I'm not paying attention to today's game. I would have started Flowers, even though I don't think he's doing too well to start, but um, I would have went Flowers on that one, and then Devontae. Definitely not Nico. As much as I love him, New Orleans is not the best matchup for them, especially with no Tank Dell. I think Stroud's gonna have a bad day. I don't think it's gonna be a good day for him. So, yeah, Zay Flowers. If you already have him in, congratulations. If not, obviously Devontae is gonna be your play.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think. I think Devontae Smith has himself today. We talked about it on the show Wednesday. It just seems like it's a blow up spot for him. He's had a couple quiet weeks. AJ Brown's been getting his. Goddard got his last week, so I think this is the week for Devontae. I'm starting to hear that echo again. I don't know if you hear it on your side.
Good over here.
All right. All right, cool. What else you got for us?
All right, so I've got the next one. Oh, and Devontae too. AJ Brown's gonna have a bigger day, just so you know too. AJ, the reason why Devontae's been quiet the past week is AJ Brown complained. But the next one, we get to start two on this one. You got Bijan, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, Kieran Williams. You start two. Who you starting this week?
And it was Bijan, Walker, ETN, and Kyron Williams.
Kieran Williams. Yep.
Probably. I like Kieran Williams' matchup. But
against Dallas?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're not playing Dallas this week. They're playing Arizona. My bad.
Yeah, they're playing Arizona.
Yeah.
Dang. I would go Bijan and ETN. Those are just the safer picks. I think Bijan's been this close every week to having a monster week. He's really starting to separate himself from, Algier, which is what we talked about, the beginning of the year be, a little bit more of a shift. And then as the season goes on, so like he's been this close, just having monster weeks. I think of those four, he probably has the toughest matchup on paper. But yeah, I mean this is one where you just got to roll with your studs. And ETN's coming off a monster week. They're in a game versus Indy that they should win. They should be ahead in. I think it's actually probably going to be competitive with Minshew Mania. But yeah, I would go Bijan and ETN.
Yeah, I guess if you want to be safe about it, that's cool, but I don't like to be safe. I like to go out on a limb and get my fans the top dollars as best they can. We're going to go ETN's the right pick, just because I've already said it this week. I don't think Lawrence has a good week. I think that secondary actually comes together. They're not as bad as you think they are, but their running defense isn't that great. So I think ETN's going to get a big game out of Indy. But I'm not playing Bijan this week. I like Washington's defense. I still think they're one of the top defenses out there. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker on this one, actually. I think Kenneth Walker's going to have a big day in Cincinnati. They were off last week. He had some time to rest up. I think he's going to put up at least 100 yards, at least one touchdown for sure. He doesn't have much competition. Charbonnet hasn't really been doing much in that system. So yeah, I think Walker exposed. Bijan's just not going to produce in Washington. Kieran Williams too, going against Arizona. That's iffy. If I had to rank the four, I'd go ETN, Walker, and then I'd go Kieran Williams over Bijan. That's how much I'm not sold on Bijan this
Kieran
week.
Williams over Bijan. Okay, for anybody that just joined, Jeff's not drunk. He hasn't been drinking his Irish coffee this morning. At least I think so, but there's no way. I mean, I get the matchup piece, and you could, that could be a game that the Rams get up early in and lean on the run, but I mean, you just can't sit Bijan Robinson for Karen Williams. Like you just can't. It just
You
doesn't make
can.
sense.
You can and you should. Washington's defense, watch out, man. I'm telling you that look, Atlanta's not going to be able to pass the ball. If they do pass the ball, it's only going to be to London. The passing defense is the one weakness of Washington right now. Their front four is so much better. Yeah, and their linebacking core is not that bad either. I really don't think Bijan gets a lot. If he does get anything, it's going to be out of the passing game, which I don't see either. I think they make a statement finally and start throwing to Pitts. I think Pitts actually has a decent game, not a blow-up game, but a decent game. But Drake London's going to be the best asset to Atlanta this week. So,
I think it's Bijan's gonna get checked down points. He's been super close to breaking one open. So I'm gonna lean Bijan there without a doubt. So I got an interesting question from Twitter. So guy has Bijan and Raheem Mostert currently in his lineup. On the bench, he's got David Montgomery. So Montgomery's going against Tampa. So would you sit? I'm gonna guess you're gonna sit Bijan. But would you sit Bijan or Mostert for David Montgomery? I mean, I would. I would sit Mostert in this spot. I know he's going up against a Carolina defense that's letting up the second most fantasy points to running backs, but he just never gets the true workhorse role. And I talked about it on the show Wednesday. I'm a big believer in Chris Brooks. So I think Mostert's still going to be held to 12 to 15 touches. Maybe he does a lot with those. I don't know. Jeff Wilson is not playing today from the IR. They did not activate him. So it's going to be Mostert, Brooks, and Salman Ahmed. So I think you're going to see a lot more Brooks than you think. So I would flip Mostert and Montgomery there. What about you?
So this is coming from the guy who told you to start Sean Tucker or pick up Sean Tucker and Chase Brown. So backup running backs is not David's specialty, obviously.
There's still hope.
So we're definitely going to go Raheem Mostert in this one. You just said it. The Carolina is one of the worst against running backs, and they just lost their top option that was competing with Mostert, which is Achane. He's not playing this week, so now Mostert's getting the bulk. If there's any strength in Carolina, it's the secondary, which is still not going to stop them. Miami's going to put up a lot of points today. But Mostert is definitely a good play. Tampa's defense is still – I thought they were going to be a crappy run defense this year. I thought they were going to fall off. I thought it was going to come down a little bit. I was wrong. Their run defense is still a top run defense. Gibbs, I think, is out, if I'm not mistaken. So now it's all Montgomery. I think Detroit has to pass in that game because it's going to be a competitive game that's going to put up points also. So I don't think I like Montgomery. I like Mostert more. So if you have Montgomery on your starting roster, take him out, put Mostert in. Oof. But either one's better than Bijan, obviously.
Dude, you're crazy.
All right, so let's go. One that we got last night as well. Let me see. The next one we've got, we already went over. All right, flex play. You got Ford from Cleveland against the 49ers.
Nope.
Or Damian Pierce against the Saints. That's such God. A terrible question.
All right, so we know I've been huge on the on the Pierce train. I'm sitting him this week. I said I guess for DeAndre Hopkins. But Ford is not going to have himself a very good day. He might retire after today. That's gonna be a rough one out there for Cleveland. So I'm going Dameon Pierce. You're probably looking at 10 points tops. But it could be 4 from Ford. So I'm going Pierce.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's such a tough one, man. You're probably going to lose this week. Whoever posted that question, obviously.
What do you give him hope?
Yeah. I was leaning towards Pierce. Um, yeah, I can't even think about Ford at this point. Like San Francisco's the third best rushing defense in the league. They're gonna put up points. There's no Deshaun Watson. There's no upside to Cleveland this week whatsoever. If you have anybody in Cleveland, you should probably sit them. You gotta go Pierce in this one. Because Pierce, he still has a lot of upside. Ford, just no. He's got Hunt over there. They're talking about using Singletary a little bit more. I think that's a stupid play. I don't think that's going to happen, but I still think Pierce is the better play on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
So definitely start him.
from a team perspective, like Pierce isn't their problem. It's like they've had a rough start to the season schedule wise, and the first 4 games they were missing half their offensive line,
The
half
line,
their starting offensive line. So I think
yeah,
I think there will be better days ahead for Pierce. I'm not out on him for the remainder of the season. I've had a couple people, try to buy low on him. But I'm holding strong. Because I think things will get better for him in the second half of the season. That doesn't start today. But if the question is him or Ford, I'm taking him.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Pierce, now that Dell's out, I mean, if anyone's getting touchdowns today, if they do score a touchdown against New Orleans, um, Pierce has a good shot at it. So if anything, just out of the pure shot of a touchdown and getting some points there, Pierce is the better play too. But because there's no way Cleveland's sniffing the end zone. It's not happening. I'll be super stunned if Cleveland gets near the end zone today.
Yep.
You know me, I'm a huge San Francisco 49er defense fan, and I don't see them even getting close to the red zone. So okay, this next one I have two super quick. We'll make this quick. I didn't even want to entertain it, but I'm on Ross St. Brown or Sam Laporta. Um, just go St. Brown. I don't even know why that shouldn't even be a question. We should just probably skip over it. But anytime you have one of the elite wide receivers versus a top tight end, you go elite wide receiver. So even yeah, St. Brown's gonna have a day. So definitely go with him. If you have both, I mean, whoever your other tight end is, I'd probably take them out and put Laporta in instead of flexing it. But that's what I would go.
Yeah, I wonder who their tight end is. It has to be
Right?
like a Kelsey.
It has to be.
But,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because to me, like I've already told you, Laporta to me is like a number three or number four tight end in the league. I've said this since day one. So unless you have him or Mark Andrews, hopeful, even that I probably start Laporta. But yeah, that one was a tough one. Any more from Twitter?
Not right now. Not right now. So
I, I have a few more, so
yeah, run. Well,
I wanted to keep going back and forth. But what do you got?
no, I was just gonna ask, any matchups you're shying away from this week. I know we did our studs and duds last week. I made a tweak to mine. Given the news that Sauce Gardner's now out, I'm taking AJ Brown off the dud list and
That's right.
replacing him with CJ Stroud. Um, I know Stroud's been doing really well, exceeding expectations, and he hasn't thrown a pick yet. But I think that changes this week, going against a tough New Orleans defense. That's coming off a shutout of your team, and where
I had to throw that shit in there.
they made Macaroni Jones look like a wet noodle. So I think it's going to be a tough day for him, especially with Tank Dell out. Lattimore is going to be all over Nico Collins. That should be a fun matchup to watch. Not a fun game to watch, especially if you're a Texans fan. But I'm adding C.J. Stroud to the dud list.
Okay. Instead of AJ Brown. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
So you going Stroud and Pierce on the dud list this week. Man, you are really sold against Houston this week.
Yeah.
All right, good. Watch the Houston is at home though, so don't buy into New Orleans all that much. But if I'm shying away from anybody this week, like we said, anybody in Cleveland, you definitely stay away from. Most of Houston, you'll probably want to stay away from. You're not wrong there. I would probably push in a little bit more, not only on Detroit's receivers, but on Tampa's receivers too. I think Mike Evans might actually still have a good day today. I know Detroit's defense is good, but they're more geared up against the run. I can see Mike Evans having a decent day. Maybe even Chris Godwin having his coming out party, who you sold me on this offseason and still really hasn't done that much. Laughed at me when I said, who they're going to throw to? And he said, oh, Chris Godwin. Yeah, you convinced me. That's not working out too well so far. But he could have his coming out party today, so we'll see about that. Yeah, there's not too much I'm too worried about. I'm still sticking with all my original picks because I'm not a flip flopper, but hopefully Zay Flowers comes back, comes up in the second half a little bit stronger. We'll see. But yeah, Sam Howell's still going strong. It scares me with Sam Howell, but I'm going to stick with it, because Atlanta's secondary still is good. But I think Dotson's going to do well, and who knows, maybe Curtis Samuel will have a good day. So we'll see. But no, I'm not shying away from anything.
Okay. One matchup that Matthew Berry's got this guy as his number two running back for the week is Tony Pollard, and I don't like any of the Cowboys this week. I think they're going to
He's my dud.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I know, and then I think the Cowboys are going to get crushed again. So I'm shying. I would fade all Cowboys skilled positions this week. I know, the Chargers have a bad defense somehow. With two of the best defensive players in the league, arguably. But they're coming off a bye, so they've had time to study the Cowboys, whatever there is to study. So I don't like Tony Pollard this week, and I know Matthew Berry's got him ranked number 2. I'd probably put him. I would flip him DeAndre Swift according to Berry's rankings. He has DeAndre Swift as 12th. I think this is a smash spot for DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I think Swift has a decent game. That Jets team's just, yeah, you don't know what you're going to get out of them, unfortunately. But Swift's actually come on strong. He's earned that number 1 running back. He's taken it away from Gainwell because originally they were going with Gainwell. So I like Swift. Yeah, Pollard's just a bad play overall this week. I'm a big believer in the Chargers defense. I know they suck so far. I want them to be good. I really do. I think Staley's holding them back more than anything. But they have, I've told you this before, any good defense, you have a all-pro at every level. And that's how I feel. That's how the Ravens were back in the day. That's how San Francisco is now. The Chargers have that. Like, Kenneth Murray's a good one of the top linebackers with his motor. You have Bosa on the line. You have Derwin James at safety. Like, there's so many weapons on there that you should be better. And they've got to prove it this week. They've got to show them that Dallas can't run all over them. They can't pass on them. CeeDee Lamb's been disappointing this season. I'm not huge on him. But, yeah, I think Pollard has a bad game. At number 2, that just blows me away, man. You sure you weren't flip-flopping it? He's like the second worst. That's who's number 1? I can't wait to hear this. Is it Bijan? Because I'm going to bash that too.
CMC.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's obvious.
You mentioned one linebacker. Don't forget, Khalil Mack's still over there too. In San Diego, and
so, he's more. But he's a rusher though. They technically have Joey Bosa considered a linebacker too. They're both edge rushers. That's. I don't consider that. They're both on the line more than anything. So, but yeah, Khalil Mack on there. Asante Samuel's doing pretty well. Like they have the pieces in place. So we'll see. That's going to be a good game. I agree with you. I think the Chargers blow them out. The only thing that worries me is how good Dallas's defense will be. I have one that I ran into this week. I want your opinion on this one. I actually had it in 2 leagues. So I started one in one league and one in the other just to kind of hedge my bet and see. One of them's going to, do better. We'll see how it works. But do you take Justin Herbert against Dallas or do you take Tua against Carolina?
Oof.
I've got that in 2 leagues. I started Herbert in one, Tua in the other, just to kind of see which one was going to pan out. I don't think this is a wrong decision, but who would you take if you had to pick?
Oh man, I'd probably still roll with Herbert.
He's getting Eckler back this week, so that's a plus.
Yeah, or negative, because they've been throwing a lot more. Well,
That's what
because
Eckler does.
yeah, but he could also run it into the end zone. So they haven't had that the last few weeks. On paper, you should go Tua. Carolina's defense is atrocious. Um, yeah, you know what? I'll go Tua. I see you Slega in the chat Tua all day. I'll co-sign with you. I'll go Tua.
Of course, like it's gonna say to all day. That's not fair. Um, I mean, Carolina, they're sixth best against the pass this year. Their defense isn't that bad. They just can't stop the run. That's their problem. They have a good pass rusher in Burns. They have J.C. Horn. Like they have a good pass defense. Even Henderson as the number two corner is is better. He's good when he's not a number one corner. So Henderson's not terrible, but they're one of the better pass defenses in the league. They've given up less than 1,000 yards passing this season so far through 5 weeks. So, um, yeah, I don't know, man. Herbert, that's a tough one. But then again, Dallas is the second best pass defense in the league this year. So it's a toss up. They're both going against good passing defenses. It's going to be an interesting one. Um, so yeah, I can see it rolling both ways, but it's a good problem to have, though. I think they'll both do good. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna stand by, and I'm gonna roll with Tua on that one.
Cool. All right, well, we got two more from the fans, at least yesterday. I don't know if there's any in the chat yet, but you get to start two. You get Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor. I think it's kind of no-brainer.
Eckler. I'm gonna go Eckler and Taylor. I think this is the week that we talked it earlier. On our episode Wednesday. I think they're taking the gloves off of Taylor this week. I think he's going to see a lot of volume. I think and Gardner Minshew starting I think helps Taylor because he's a better passer than Anthony Richardson is at this point. And, he's not as dynamic as a player as Anthony Richardson, but he'll be able to spread the ball around, open up some lanes for Taylor to run through, and then also open up some check down passes. So I'm gonna roll with that. Eckler I think is a must start. Kamara's been doing well, but I think I'm expecting a blow up game from Taylor.
Okay, that's that's not a terrible one.
Again, you're in a good spot if that's your dilemma. You're in a good spot.
Eckler's definite. That's for sure. Eckler's definitely going out there. You don't bench him. He behind CMC. Eckler's number two. So I don't know why the hell anybody would put Tony Pollard at number two. But Alvin Kamara and Jonathan Taylor. I was gonna say Kamara, but then Houston's defense isn't terrible. They're one of the better defenses. I love what D'Amico Ryans is doing over there. But against the run, if I'm not mistaken, they're more middle of the pack, so it's not really the greatest. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Yeah, I think I'm going Kamara on that one. Just because Houston's run defense, it's okay, but I think they're going to lean more on him. I don't think there's too much competition there. Zach Moss really made his statement last week that they're going to split carries. And not to mention Jacksonville's run defense is a top 10 run defense. They're still up there against the run. Yeah, I'm going Kamara and Eckler on that one. Like you said, it's a good problem to have because any one of them's not terrible, but I think Kamara has the better week over Jonathan Taylor this week, just purely off a matchup and splitting time with Zach Moss, who's definitely going to make a play for trade bait. I think Indy wants to trade him eventually after what he's doing, so I think they're going to try to show him out a little bit more to get the most value out of him. So we'll see. But I think Kamara outdoes him.
Okay, that'll be one to keep an eye on throughout the week.
Yeah. And then the last one I've got, which this one's brutal. This is not a good problem to have. JSN Smith and Jigba versus Tyler Algier
Oh God.
in a flex spot.
Oh man. So JSN has done nothing. Um,
Mm.
Boy, man, that is a tough one. You know what? I mean, Algier, he got 17 touches last week. So he's still involved. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the guaranteed touches again. Like flex spot to me, if you're running through, a wide receiver 2 or 3, or an RB 2 or 3, I'm just usually always going to take the guaranteed touches. So Algier is going to get his shot, whereas Jackson Smith and Jigba, unless there's an in-game injury, he's just not getting the ball, thrown his way. So I'm going to go Algier there.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Like I said, I'm not happy with that pick. I'd try to find someone else if I can, but yeah, JSN. The problem, yeah, like you said, they've got 2 star receivers already. Lockett's still playing decent. Metcalf's obviously the number one. But like I said before, I think Kenneth Walker has a big day in Seattle, which means that's less for Smith and Jigba to get. I also believe in Bijan not doing well against Washington because they're a tough defense to go against. But I think Algier gets the red zone stuff against that team to grind it out and possibly get a touchdown. So if anything, it's more of I'm going with Algier on the simple fact that, like you said, touches and red zone work. I think that's the biggest piece. So yeah, I'll go Algier on that one.
Yeah, if you're looking for a reason to start Jackson Smith and Nick Jigba, I mean, best I can give you is that Seattle's coming off of a bye, and a lot of times teams coming out of a bye, they shake things up a little bit, and maybe they're looking at their offense and saying, hey, we need to get this kid more involved. um you know Again, I wouldn't do it, but if you're leaning Jackson Smith and Jigba and you want some ray of hope, that's probably the only ray of hope I can give you. But I would still go Algier on that one. But
Okay.
it's not. I wouldn't cut bait on Jackson Smith and Jigba yet. I would wait to see how this game shakes out, to see if they are making those adjustments after the bye, and then if they're not, then you can look to move on, because I would have thought Tyler Lockett would have taken a step back this year, but he's doing his thing.
I thought this was the year too. I agree with you, especially since they drafted JSN. I figured Lockett they could see was going to lose a step, and he's not. So that's a tough one. So, but yeah, Algier all day on that one.
Yeah, not a lot of surprises out of the injury news, but just to recap for anybody. Miles Sanders is out. Again, that's been expected. If you got Chuba Hubbard, he should see significant volume, so you can feel free to fire him up. Let's see. Tank Dell, we mentioned before. He's going to be out this week. Zay Jones is out, so that could be interesting for Calvin Ridley, which I think we talked that earlier in the week. I think could be a smash spot for Calvin Ridley. So Zay Jones is out, and then Roschon Johnson is out. So big week for
All of the running backs in Chicago are out.
yeah. So big week for Deontay Foreman, in what should be a down and nasty game. I was out on a lot of Minnesota pass catchers this week because they're expecting rain and 20-mile-per-hour winds. So this should be a good old-fashioned, NFC North type of game. On the daily fantasy wire, I think Deontay Foreman is probably a great daily play in a FanDuel or DraftKings.
Yeah, I don't. That's sorry.
Minnesota's defense is terrible.
not the run defense. They're middle of the pack in the run. They're like I think they're 13th or 14th against the run, so they're not terrible against the run. No, but at the same time, Deontay Foreman the past 4 weeks has been a healthy scratch. They're forcing him into this spot. I trust Justin Fields to run more than I do Deontay Foreman, so I'm not a big Foreman fan on that one. Like you said, 20-mile-per-hour winds. That just tells you, knowing Justin Fields and how he passes the ball, right off the bat, Minnesota's should be putting 8 in the box right off the bat because they know it's not getting passed around a lot. So I see them keying in on that run. I don't see Foreman having a big day against them. So
yeah, I'm also fading DJ Moore for that reason. Question came through the chat. Half point PPR flex pick 2: James Cook, Alexander Madison, Jordan Addison, Garrett Wilson, Chuba Hubbard, Rashad White. This person's got all the free agents.
But all right, so hold on. Let me hear it again. So say it one more time. Rashad White.
Yep, James Cook, Alexander Madison, Jordan Addison, Garrett Wilson, Chuba Hubbard.
Madison, Wilson, Hubbard. 2, 3, 4. There's 5 of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And we get to start 2. All right.
Half point PPR.
Ooh. I'm going. Yeah, go ahead. You go.
No, you go.
I'd probably go James Cook on that one if it's half PPR. I said earlier Wilson over Cook, but that's because it's full PPR in that one, I would assume. I would go Cook in that one. Oof. To me, it's between Garrett Wilson and Chuba Hubbard. Those are the two I would debate. I'll stick with Wilson. Cook and Wilson. That's who I would probably go. Hubbard's a close third. Do not start White. Do not start Madison.
So I agree with James Cook. For all the reasons we talked earlier, he should have a big day. Against a bad defense, and it's a game that Buffalo should lead in. I kind of want to go Alexander Madison just because Chicago's run defense has been putrid. It's one of the worst in the league, and this should be a game, where Minnesota leans on the run. So yeah, I would go Cooks and Madison, and but I wouldn't fault you if you want Garrett Wilson. We talked earlier in the show today that he has a high ceiling in today's game, low floor, but for those two, I would go Cook and Madison.
So Chicago's run defense is 12th in the league, and Minnesota's is 13th. So they're both not terrible.
They're horrible.
But again, we'll go back to it though. I don't see a lot of passing in that game. Hence, the defense is going to buckle down on the run game. Madison.
So
I'm definitely against White. I'm definitely against Rashad White. Let me make that perfectly clear. Detroit's going to shut him down. Do not start him.
It might be. Chicago's run defense might be 12th in the league in terms of like yards, but they're giving up the third most fantasy points to running backs this year. So when they're averaging 24.1 fantasy points per game to running backs, so running backs eat against them, and so I think Madison's a safe play. It's probably the only time this year I'll recommend that you play Madison. It also could be a Cam Akers game. Who knows? But
that's enough. Yeah, he's up and coming now. We'll see. All right. So you've got Madison and Cook. That's what you're saying?
Yep. Okay. A question in the chat. When will the Browns start using Hunt more? Let's probably. I think they today, because every one of their other running backs is probably the whole team's just gonna get decimated by the 49ers defense. But I wouldn't bank on Kareem Hunt making a splash this year. I think because it's not like he went to the Browns mid-season or whatever, but it's not like it's a team that he was unfamiliar with. He's been there the last couple of years, so he knows the offense. I'm surprised, that he's only gotten 12 touches in 2 games since he's been there, given that. And, so it doesn't seem like the Browns are intent on using him any different than they had last year. So I think he's droppable. I wouldn't bank on much coming out of Kareem Hunt.
I give the odds more towards him coming out with another controversial video than him being productive in Cleveland. Just want to throw that out there. Yeah, I'm sorry. He's not going to be anything. He's more of just a safety valve just because he knew the offense already. But Ford's it. Pierre Strong's probably going to outproduce him this year, to be honest with you, the guy they traded for, rather than just picking up Kareem Hunt to take his spot. Yeah, Kareem Hunt's definitely not going to be valuable this season. Drop him if you have him in any leagues. I've dropped him in pretty much every league that I had him in, which is only like 2. Yeah, no, he's not going to be productive this season. Sorry.
Yeah, you can scratch him off your list. All right, you said you had a couple more questions come through?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right. My fault. I misread that.
All right. No, that was the last one we had. JSN and Tyler Algier was the last one we had. But just going in, you said Minnesota. You said Chicago's giving up how many fantasy points against running backs? The 23rd worst.
No, so their running backs are averaging 24 points a game versus the Browns defense. I'm sorry, the Bears defense. So they're giving up the 3rd most points to fantasy running backs this year.
Wow, that stuns me a little bit because, I mean, it's got to be coming out of the backfield because they played Washington. I mean, Gibson, I don't know, Denver. They played Denver, Kansas City, Tampa. I don't know where these running back points are coming from.
Because they're leaky, man. It's probably so they might be okay with yards, but it's probably just giving up a lot of touchdowns.
Brian Robinson had 10 rushing yards last week.
Yeah, that's what dropped them.
That's where it is though. Gibson and Brian Robinson catching out of the backfield had over 100 yards last week. So that's what. Yeah. So if I was going to say, because rushing, there's no way they're giving up that much. They stopped the run pretty well. But yeah, I guess catching out of the backfield, even the week before, McLaughlin only had 72 yards, but he had 32 receiving yards and a touchdown. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. So if you have a back that can catch out of the backfield, which Madison, you can do it, I guess, then I'd be a little more concerned. But I still stick by my play. You didn't talk me into Madison. I'm sorry. Cook and Wilson, Hubbard's 3rd.
Right.
I had to wrap my mind around it. I'm sorry. It was throwing me off because I was like, Chicago's run defense is a good run defense. Don't do this to me. And that makes a little more sense. They just can't stop the running back from catching it. Good job.
Okay, so I'm confident in Madison there. Again, it's probably the only time that I'll recommend Madison this year. He's been a huge, I would say, disappointment. If for those that drafted him high, thinking he was going to be the guy, but I mean, he's had some strong games, but the acre's there now. I think the time is running low, but so hopefully he puts up a smash spot.
I don't think Akers does that much, to be honest with you. I don't think he takes away that. I think Madison still has a decent season. It's not going to be what we thought, but it'll still be decent, especially now that Jefferson's out. They're going to have to rely on that run game a little bit more. So that's going to be something. I just don't think this week's the week because Madison's going to be here. The ball's going to be here. It's not a good week to catch it out of the backfield with 20-mile-per-hour winds. So,
nope.
But I think Madison. I think you stay strong with him throughout the season. I don't think that's a bad play throughout the rest of the season. I think he's still. Akers is not threatening him, in my opinion. There's a reason the Rams let him go for a running back that nobody expected to take over that job. And Jefferson being out, like you can like KJ Osborne all you want. He's not Jefferson. They're going to have to run the ball to keep it competitive. So I think Madison, you keep on hanging on to him a little longer.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, if you're just joining before we wrap up, again, not much on the injury news. But Tank Dell is out, so for the Houston Texans. So you might be thinking to yourself, "All right, sweet, let me fire up Nico Collins." But I think this is one of those weird situations where the opposing or where the wide receiver 2 being out hurts your wide receiver 1 because now he's the only option for Atlanta to focus on, and they have a stud corner out there in Terrell. So sit Nico Collins even with Tank Dell out is my recommendation. And the other injury news was all pretty standard. Miles Sanders out this week. We saw that coming. No real big surprises.
Okay. I like it, man. I like it.
And Van Jefferson is active today. So for those for those who have watched since week 1, Van Jefferson is active, and he's still a better option than Devontae Parker. So.
Not this week. Devontae Parker's gonna erupt. You watch.
He's not gonna erupt.
Here it comes. Jump on the bandwagon now, ladies and gentlemen. Devontae Parker.
You got before we wrap, you got any upset picks for today? We didn't talk about those.
Ooh, I actually did. It's a good call. Let me pull that back up real quick so I can remind myself. So I have. Let's see. Yeah, I have the Bears beating the Vikings. That's not too much of an upset. Let's see. No, I guess I don't. Unless New England's going to upset Vegas, so that's going to be good. Seattle might upset Cincinnati, but that's not really that big. It's only a 3-point swing, so that's not too big. No, I don't have anything big. I'm not going to be controversial, say the Panthers are going to beat the Dolphins or something like that, something crazy.
I'll tell you.
Let's do it. The Jets are going to beat the Eagles. Let's do it.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say the Jets are going to beat the Eagles.
Oh, boy.
I honestly think we can. I mean, Sauce being out really hurts us, though. Because our only chance to win there was going to be to bottle up that passing game. But we'll see. I think the team's going to play hard. They're home dogs by 6.5, which is a bit much. So, other than that, yeah, I think the only other one that I can really see. There's not a lot of big spreads this week. Let's see, Commanders versus Falcons. That's an interesting one. I think Washington wins that game. So, I mean, Atlanta's only a 1.5 favorite, but I think Washington pulls that one out. A great game to watch is Seahawks-Bengals. I'm going to go Bengals in that one.
That'll be a tough one, though, yeah.
Colts-Jags. Jacksonville's 4-point favorites. Yeah, I think they got that.
Jacksonville's winning that.
Buffalo's 15-point favorites at the Giants. Do you think they cover?
Cover. Yeah, I do. that Giants offense is so bad. Well, isn't Daniel Jones out this week? I think it's Tyrod, isn't it? Or
that might be better for the Giants.
Yeah, the two AFC East teams got double digit spreads this week, Miami and Buffalo. So, and then New England's going to win by double digits. So yeah, it's going to be a good week for the AFC East.
Yeah, and the Jets are going to win. So.
The Jets are going to win. Yeah, clean sweep. AFC East wins them all. Let's go.
That's how we'll wrap it.
That's controversial. Yeah. See how that goes. But yeah, good stuff, man. It's awesome.
Cool. All right, let me shut this stream down.